I think it's funny, I didn't like he's referencing the article, but obviously he didn't mention Marianne Williamson at all. And she's talking about the real deal. But even though it was like low, but I
Except for
think
that low
also,
ball number.
yeah, she's lowballing us. Well, she's not doing that anymore because they all out. But anyways,
Yeah, but she's still
Bernie's
out
not
here.
doing it either.
But she's still out here running her mouth with that number. I liked Marianne, so she kept pushing that number after we told her wasn't enough. Like, you're not running no more, so you don't need to use that $500 billion number no more, ma'am.
I know. Anyways, I think we also got to pay attention to, he makes it a point to talk about how these other people's plans aren't specific to Black people and how that's not really reparations. He's right about that. And I think we need to give him credit, but we also need to take points away when he goes on later on in this video talking about Black issues and how everything's a Black issue. But, that's all I got on it.
Yeah, let's go. Go ahead. Okay. Your turn. Your turn.
All right. So for me, the whole beginning is off for me, right? Because we're talking about a very serious issue, and a lot of these things that he's mentioning from beginning to end could be fixed by reading my article, the first one I wrote, the first ADOS article I wrote, or talking to us, not about us, not around us, but talking to us. Right, and that could have been a big fix for a lot of these things that went on with Bernie's campaign, but they intentionally shut us out, and this is what happens. All right, so you ready to go on? You guys ready to go on?
Yes, please go ahead and start back up.
Sam's excited.
Oh, I've been here for this. Y'all saw me on Twitter. I was eating y'all up. I was eating them up anyways. I've been ready for this long form, not having to be limited, all those little characters.
Yeah. All right, here we go. All right, going to the next.
Like in The Wire when he was like, she.
All right, here we go.
And in some instances, it's not even for the Black community specifically, but they're calling it reparations. So what we have here is dishonest politicians, a dishonest media that plays along with them, and frames this issue as, oh, would you look at that? Cory Booker and Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren, they're out-lefting Bernie Sanders. Isn't that great? Don't you want anybody but Bernie?
Right there.
All right.
So, all of what he is saying right there, if he would have taken time to listen to any ADOS people, which I understand ADOS is kind of new, and in March we were still kind of new, even though at that point I'd still been online for like a year and we had been going at this for a minute. But yeah. White progressives, I think it's time y'all start listening to the Black shows. We watch all your shows. We were watching a lot of your shows. A lot of you we used to watch faithfully until we found out you're a little anti-Black. So, yeah. So it's time for you guys to start watching our stuff so you can kind of figure out what we're trying to say. So if you would have listened to us, you would have known that we didn't like Kamala Harris or Cory Booker. We got on Cory Booker about not having a real reparations plan. Cory Booker was the only ADOS person running in this election on the major ticket, and he had nothing for his people. But he had that story about how his family, a white person, had to buy their house for them to be able to move into the neighborhood to break the segregation. So you got this real Black civil rights struggle story, but you're not doing out here to do any of the work that the people did for your family to get your people where they are. So Cory Booker was a no, and Kamala, I'm not doing anything for Black people. No, like we wasn't voting for her neither.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit Black people. No.
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen. Again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
So you thought because they were brown-hued people that we were just gonna jump on board. And I'm tired of people thinking that black people voted for Obama just because he was black. Yes, they voted for him because he was black, but they also voted for him because he was selling the dream of hope and change. The same reason white people who voted for Obama switched to Trump now, because of the fact that they voted for hope and change and they thought their lives were going to get better. And instead they still lost their houses. They still ended up losing their savings, and they're angry and they're pissed, and they deserve to be. And it's not all racism. So that's what I have to say about that. Go ahead.
Well,
Big
I
John.
think, I think Sam said basically, it's only what I mean. He's just all of this is just him just making this an argument for his candidate. Like you guys already said about like what Bud said. This is what the white people mean. Like this is us black folk looking in on the white people meeting this shit. Like, what we gonna do about the Negroes? Huh? Oh damn, Bernie, they're trying to So they trying to so this is them back then during the election trying to scramble. He's trying to trying to do his little fucking matrix. Trying to do his little judo, his magic, whatever. But I think what Sam said was correct about
Mental
this.
gymnastics.
Yeah, his mental gymnastics, his fucking reverse psychology, all this bullshit, whatever. But I think that Sam, what you said is exactly right. You didn't like Obama, and with MG, what you said is right. Like, why don't you come talk to us? Why are you talking to us? You're doing the same thing that you accuse the liberals of and the right wing of. The left doing. You talking to us? Like, come on, dudes. You guys know better, man. You guys are like the fucking Martin Luther Kings, man. And blah, blah, like, yo, like, bro, well, come ask me what I want. No, come on, man. He don't even. So, and I want to point out that he's pointing out that these people have nothing specific for black people in their plan. Bernie Sanders had nothing specific for black people in his plan. So he's pointing this out when talking about the opposition, but you can't even really look his candidate in his eyes and look at his shit like, yo, you don't even really got nothing for black people. Bernie, what you doing? But no, he want to play them. He want to play these games. So that's my takeaway on it. But don't worry, you don't put them on the grill. You don't get them on the grill. Don't worry about it.
All right, Mud.
Damn, y'all didn't really leave any meat on the bone. I don't really have much else to say except for, like, I think it needs to be pointed out that Cory Booker got the baby bonds idea from Sandy Derrick. Nah, that's true. Other than that, like, I just want to add on to what John was saying about, like, shit, now I can't think of it. Shit, what were you saying about fucking
How he was pointing out that other candidates ain't have specific policy for black folk, but he couldn't really make that analysis, in a real truthful way about his own candidate. You talking about when I said that, or
no? When you was talking about basically them having the white people meeting, like this was.
Oh,
they're not even like what's going on. Like they're not even considering our interests. Like they might be thinking that they're talking to us, but none of this is about like the perspective of what if we're actually interested in this. Like he doesn't even consider that in his talking points. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there. He's like Bud just said. he thinks he's talking to us. There is a segment of people that he is talking to. There's a segment of black people who are Bernie diehards. There's like three of them, right? But and at this point in 2019, it was this reparations was like as Kyle's trying to frame it here, they viewed it as a threat specifically against Bernie Sanders, but that wasn't the case. But we'll go more into that later. But I think there is a segment of black people that they're talking to, but most of them are black socialists who are already on board for whatever Bernie says or whatever these folks say, and they were hiding from this whole reparations discussion for the longest time. Some folks came aboard late, came aboard later. Some folks still haven't gotten aboard, but they are appealing to a segment of the choir, so to speak. All right, let's run to the next one. Next piece. You ready, Sam?